decision. And so as a pastor, I'm imploring you to follow the leadership of the Lord Jesus Christ on this. He knows the future.
Yeah, Jesus Christ knows, dude. Jesus Christ telling you, do your own research. Jesus Christ wouldn't have accepted the vaccines. So why would you? All right, here is we're moving on to how an ANCAP society would work. Another video by Adam Something, who's been releasing blasting great fucking videos lately. I didn't even turn down the audio, I turned off that
video,
tab.
The fatal flaw of free market capitalism has generated a healthy amount of discussion, in some circles anyway, and so this led me to performing a bunch of thought experiments, which were super fun, and so this video is the result. And just as a quick refresher, anarcho-capitalism is a stateless society where individuals are free to contract with each other.
It's also oxymoronic. You can't be an anarchist, which believes in the abolition of undemocratic hierarchies, and be a capitalist, which is built upon an undemocratic hierarchy. Nobody is fucking democratically being like, I want to be enslaved, okay?
And everything else is up to the free market. All the public services are privatized. And I was rather curious as to how this would work in real life. Now, one thing that ANCAPs like to bring up to help support the viability of their ideology is the so-called Icelandic Commonwealth, which was, for all intents and purposes, a proto-ANCAP society in the Middle Ages. Now, it did manage to exist from 930 until 1262/63, when the Icelanders apparently voted to ask the King of Norway to take over their country. And to quote from the Icelandic Commonwealth's Wikipedia page from the Decline and Fall section, in the early 13th century, the age of the Sturlungs, the Commonwealth began to suffer from chaos and division resulting from internal disputes. Originally, the Goddard chieftains functioned more as a contractual relationship than a fixed geographic chieftaincy. However, by 1220, this form of communal leadership was replaced by dominant regional individuals who battled with one another for more control. One historian argues that the chaos and violence of this period stem from an imbalance of power and changes in the nature of Icelandic warfare. Whereas the number of Goddard had been at least 39 in the early Icelandic Commonwealth, a few powerful families had consolidated control over most of the Goddard in the late 12th century. Now, I don't know about you, but this to me sounds awfully familiar. And my favorite part about this is that the Icelandic Commonwealth failed so hard in the end that people ended up inviting a foreign despot to invade their land because even that was preferable to living in Icelandic Ancapistan. Now, this was in part a result of the King of Norway exerting pressure.
What the fuck? What does he mean, Icelandic Ancapistan? It was working perfectly.
On Iceland for a longer time, so some might say that this is cheating and thus isn't fair criticism. But this line of thinking leaves us with three possible options as to why Icecapistan fell. Number one would be because of the Nordic invasion, number two because people were manipulated into voting for the takeover, and number three because people misjudged the situation and made their own call at the ballot box. And I have bad news for ANCAPs. All these options prove my point. They show you that an ANCAP society would either fall.
Dude, to be honest, I wish Norway would invade America. That'd be so tight. Could you imagine if Norway, I would democratically vote for Norway to invade America too. And then everyone that looks like Knut, which is the entirety of the Norwegian country, they would come here and they would say, hey, now you have to speak like this. That is the only rule we will impose upon you. You have to talk like this all the time, but then you get healthcare and free education.
Fall victim to a state's well-organized invasion force, or get subverted by propaganda, or people will vote on a feels over reals basis and end up screwing themselves over. Brexit. And I personally...
I would 1000% take that deal, by the way. It's not even a joke. I would talk like this for the rest of my life. I do not care. I do not care. I will tell everyone I'm Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
I think that if a country would transition into the ANCAP model somewhere, a military intervention scenario would be its most likely end. And it would be super convenient too. I mean, there would be no state to declare war on. There is no state. You just roll in with the tanks and announce martial law. Even if some people would resist, it would just be a handful of loosely coordinated militias, if that, against a regular army. And of course, if you have some kind of very powerful high-tech military hardware, you need a very complicated logistics chain to maintain it. You know, Billy Joe can't just tow a Reaper drone to his shack to recalibrate his targeting AI or something. What an average ANCAP commune could do at most is
become a state. Ironically, the best thing that an ANCAP commune could ever become is literally resembling a state in and of itself. That's it.
Maintain or create small arms and crude explosives, maybe. So the NCAP dream stumbles right at the starting line. And right here, right now, I could just stop bothering with all this, but I'd like to dig a little bit deeper. Let's give it.
This applies to ANCOM too? This applies to ANCOM though? No. The difference between an ANCAP state and an ANCOM state is that you can have like something that resembles a fucking state under an anarcho-communist societal organization. They just wouldn't call it a fucking state. It would be a government, though. As long as it is, like, I'm not an ANCOM myself. I'm not an anarcho-communist. Okay? I believe in a strong state. Okay? I do. I believe in it. I personally believe in a strong fucking state. To just, you know, do the right thing when dumbasses don't want to take fucking the vaccine and instead want to take horse dewormer, okay? Or when people say stuff like born to shit, forced to wipe, and refuse to take showers. You know, that's what I believe in. I believe in showers and I believe in a strong state. So, of course, I'm not an anarcho-communist. Even though Kropotkin is good, you should read it. Okay? You are not a Marxist either then? Why? Because I shower?
It all to ANCAPs, the most ideal scenario imaginable for the emergence of real-life anarcho-capitalism. An imaginary world where every country transitioned into anarcho-capitalism at the exact same time, all corporations were completely dissolved, all nuclear weapons were disarmed, and all complex military hardware beyond small arms was disposed of. All you have is people living freely with their guns, ready to enter into voluntary contracts with each other, having inherited all the infrastructure built out by the now dissolved governments, and everyone getting a fresh start at capitalism. So I believe that this would be a perfect or at least near perfect condition for anarcho-capitalism. So how will things work out? Let's take a look. Wait, what's this? Oh, that's right. My channel has been taken over by Vladimir Putin. Okay, it hasn't been actually taken over, and these folks are actually anti-Putin, and they are the sponsors of today's video. Boney Right is a YouTube channel that dives into all kinds of topics and gives you a deeper look into things such as why prices have suddenly risen because of the container shortage, or how the chip crisis is affecting us all. So our little simulation will have two relevant parameters. Number one is that everybody will act according to their rational self-interest without exception, and number two, there will be no...
It's interesting that a YouTube channel sponsored another YouTube channel. Is there a website or guide that breaks down California election voting recall stuff in a very, very simple way? Damn, dude. Blast this out, chat. I'm not a website, but I can simply describe it to him. I'm a website, dude. I will break it down for him, dude. Blast that shit, chat. What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Pog.
Only a sound tweet I'll ever like. TruthTellerEagleFuck.org. What good is all this fucking clout if we can't use it to have cool ass guests like Tyler the Creator on, dude? Are you kidding me? Get in there, chat. I want to see some fucking movement up here, dude. I saw a lot of people adding me underneath it too. No, you can't have that gum when I'm done with it, dude. Stop asking. You freaking weirdo. You radicalized sub Caitlyn? What happened?
This one's gonna get people roaring, dude. Who wrote Das Capital?
Karl Marx. Hassan. Daddy
Yeah.
Hassan taught me that. Actually, I
Yep.
learned that for Hassan to impress him.
It was Karl
Oh my
Marx.
god. So I won the game, yeah?
I have
Yeah.
lost
Oh my god,
control
thank
of my
you,
life.
Long Winter, for coming.
Damn, he sounds so defeated. Whoever the guy is on the other side, he's like, yeah. I feel like he thought, she was not gonna know, or
on.
You got it.
Yay. Oh my god, guys. I thank Daddy Hassan for that question. Phew. Okay, next person we'll drag in is
When?
Cyril. Cyril, please undeafen.
bro, Engels was robbed, but honestly, he is a fucking factory. He'll be
So I
all
give
right.
you two. It was for you. Das Capital. I love Marxism. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is Marxism?
I love Marxism. No, I taught you that. The duality of moderation in the chat. No, I taught you that. The Hassan date paid off. I love Marxism. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Good.
Yeah, stuck in a laundry machine, but instead of sex,
2 months.
I read you
per
Das
LR.
Kapital. Damn, we can't even ratio this guy, bro. I like that you guys all went Hassan the Hun, though. I love you guys, man. Hassan tweet is sleeping? True, dude. True.
It's the 9th month of the year and it's my 11th month sub to you. 9/11 Propeller.
There's some Twitter clout. I think I got some pretty good Twitter clout. This is why Bo didn't text you back. That's right.
Lol.
Anyway. Keep going.
Deus Ex Machina type situations, meaning everything will develop organically as a logical continuation of the events that happened before. So over here we have a network of smaller settlements, each operating their own basic infrastructure just like during medieval times. In these settlements, eventually some people start getting more successful at capitalism than others, let's call them great men. And we'll be focusing on one of them, this fellow called Billy Bob, living in the town of Ainvale. Now Ainvale does have its own little water system, but the water quality is not the greatest. It's drinkable, but it tastes kind of funny, and if you have any sort of stomach problems, it just tends to make the problem worse. Now Billy Bob runs a saloon in town, and he thinks the water quality is hindering his sales because
Billy Bob.
it makes his liquor taste worse. And to help run his business smoother, using his knowledge of distillers, he puts together a water purifier so he can disconnect from the local water system and save money, and also have better tasting liquor. Now his water purifier ends up being a success, able to produce large quantities of water with a low energy cost, which is somewhat even better quality than the water from the system. Now he produces more water than he needs by a considerable margin, so he starts selling it off to people. With those profits, plus his increased revenue from liquor sales, he puts together a second machine in his free time. This time he works out some of the bugs, and the new machine turns out to be slightly more efficient and produces even better quality water. He now sells a lot of water and makes large amounts of money. Now Billy Bob is forward thinking and keeps reinvesting his revenue back into his business. With his profits, he buys a plot of land behind the saloon and builds a huge water storage tank. He also builds out pipes to the farmlands nearby and starts selling his water to the farmers. With his increasing profits, he hires workers to build and maintain water purifiers. Soon enough, he has enough capital to offer a handsome amount for the local water system. The owners like his offer and sell him all their infrastructure. After all, they weren't making as much money on it anyway, they didn't really know what they were doing, the water quality was bad, they had a large maintenance backlog, and most people in Ainvale just went on collecting rainwater and boiling it anyway. So they are more than happy to just pull the golden parachute and get rid of all their problems and go on to do something else. Following the acquisition, Billy Bob founds the Bill and Robert Water Company. Now everyone in town is his current or potential customer. Billy Bob has his workers connect his purifiers to the system, filling the pipes with his water. He also spends on maintenance, replacing rusty pipes and leaky valves, which increases the water quality and reduces water loss. His customer base starts to grow rapidly. People happily sign a contract stating that they'll get the water cheaper than under the previous owners and at a guaranteed higher quality. They can also disconnect from Billy Bob's pipes for the equivalent of $1,000 as a service fee, but why would they? The water is cheap and great. As time goes on, other people try to get in on the water business too, offering their own water from their own purifiers.
Ultimately, every problem within ANCAP society reduces down to you have no way of fucking collectively organizing to build massive infrastructure projects. And also, and this is why like Sam Cedar, libertarian debate compilations literally always have the exact same thing. Who adjudicates? Oh, you're a minarchist? You believe in a fucking court system? Okay. How do we decide who the court system is? How do you stop me from fucking just rolling over you? That's it. Who is the judge? Like libertarians, for some fucking weird way, for some weird reason, have yet to find an answer to. Have yet to find an answer to who adjudicates and how do we build the roads. I've watched enough Sam Cedar debates to tell you this. Like, it literally is like, who builds the roads and who adjudicates? That's it. No libertarian has a fucking answer for this. Yeah, what compels anyone to obey a court if it issues a verdict?
It's been a long 11 months. My eyes are
Libertarianism
now
is all
open,
about
thanks,
like
Arthur.
contracts, right? The non-aggression principle and contracts and enforcing the contract. How do you enforce the contracts?
Only a few people switch over though, since Billy Bob's water is reasonably priced and of high quality, and there is a $1,000 disconnect fee which nobody wants to pay. But then a true prodigy appears, an even greater man who creates a water purifier that's even better than Billy Bob's. Worse, he starts selling the water from it and
And if you're fucking libertarianism is limited government, not no government. No, there are a range of different ideas, but minarchists, which believe in limited government, believe that there needs to be a system for courts, right? Okay, so now you need to have all of a sudden goalposts are moving, right? So all of a sudden, okay, so you need a court system. How do we figure out who adjudicates? Is it the guy with the most money? Because then the guy with the most money is going to monopolize, and that person is going to resemble, is he going to build his own private force? Is he going to start building roads? Is he going to start building infrastructure? All of a sudden, it fucking feels like you have decided that we now have an even more fascist societal formation. It feels like we now have just a
In Backby.
fascist fucking government. You have now, congratulations, created a fascist state. Now, fear not. You already pretty much live in a feudal state. You pretty much already live in that same exact autocratic design, just 80% of your life. Okay? What am I talking about? I'm of course talking about the capitalist workplace where adults spend 80% of their fucking lives working for a job where they are working for a wage. They have no control over their own lives. You can't wear whatever you want. You can't say whatever you want. You can't do whatever the fuck you want. You have no control over your work. You have no control over what you are supposed to do. And that's what you're doing when you're working.
Love you.
You are but a cog in a much larger machine. You have no control over your wages. You have nothing. Okay? You're basically substituting the undemocratic design away from the state to an undemocratic design in the workplace where the expectation is that it's supposed to be undemocratic, where there is some sort of like semblance of a true meritocracy when no such thing exists.
And some people actually switch over and they are very satisfied with the water. It's even cheaper and even better quality. And
If you take libertarianism to its logical conclusion, you end up with a king. Yeah, of course. You end up with serfdoms. You end up with feudalism, and you end up with a fucking king, the main lord above all lords. Now, the only difference there is that the lord is not the lordship is not a theocratic monarchy, depending on the design of your society, but instead he's the lord because of some fucking fake concept of meritocracy. Like, he deserves to be the Lord King because he worked harder and smarter than everybody else, because meritocracy is real, because otherwise how would we constantly fucking subjugate ourselves in this way day in, day out, without dreaming of emancipation, if it wasn't a just and fair system? That's why every fucking person that you meet tells you, no, there is no better alternative. No, there is no other alternative. Every other alternative has always failed. The cruelty that you experience under capitalism is actually just and good and necessary. Who else will clean the toilets? They constantly tell you to fucking punch down. Everything under a capitalist order of the economy is designed in that way, where you're basically being told over and over again, like, listen, in the post-abolitionist era, in the aftermath of the Civil War and during the Reconstruction era, you know, they told the white working class that at least they weren't black.
Less than 3.
Right? This is how it works. Now they tell you, like, look, dude, these guys deserve that. You should want to be like them. You should want to be like capital owners. You know, they worked really hard and they worked really smart, because if they revealed a reality to you that, like, they were in the right place and the right time, they got lucky, including myself, by the way. I put myself in that category always. I'm an incredibly and profoundly fortunate person. I work hard, but make no mistake, like, I had a pretty fucking good spawn point, man. I lucked out. But if you, for a brief moment, question the design that you exist under, you start realizing that, like, no, this is, like, unjustifiable. This is completely unjustifiable. This is so unequal. Keep going.
And this even greater man even starts making some money on his business, sucking away profits from Billy Bob. Now, Billy Bob gets word of this, so he visits this prodigy personally and offers to buy out his business, but he gets rejected. Now, the actions of this prodigy directly threaten Billy Bob's business. He must neutralize this threat as soon as he can. Billy Bob goes on to use his considerable wealth and leverage to artificially lower the price of water even below the competitor's price. Although he goes into the red somewhat, he has enough money stockpiled to survive. The Prodigy less so by virtue of being a small business. He also has to lower his price to compete, otherwise nobody would buy water from him. His customers start to dwindle, many switching back over to Billy Bob, who announces a $500 water coupon bonus to be given to all returning customers. After months of losses, the Prodigy is at the end of his rope. He spent every bit of money on keeping his business alive. He sold absolutely everything he could, now living on the barest of necessities in an empty apartment, perhaps 1 month away from eviction. At this point, Billy Bob visits him again and makes a new offer. A very pretty sum of cash for his business and a lucrative upper management position within the Bill and Robert Water Company, together with a luxury executive penthouse. He will also have access to a very generous innovation fund which he can use to invent even better water purifiers. And this time he doesn't have to worry about not being able to pay the bills if his inventions prove unsuccessful. Billy Bob takes all the financial risks and the Prodigy is free to unleash his creative genius. What's better, for every innovation he gets a huge bonus, with the added caveat that all of them will be the property of the Bill and Robert Water Company and cannot be made open source. The Prodigy has to make a choice. He can refuse, go broke, get evicted in a month, and sleep under the bridge wrapped in a filthy blanket, hungry and sick, torturing himself with the thought of the dream he lost. Or he can continue his life's work of inventing purifiers and fulfill his dreams in a position of prestige and wealth, high salary, luxury penthouse, generous bonuses, freedom to innovate, and all.
It's sad you not popular enough to get invited for barbecue, but don't worry, you got us. Barbecue with who?
All he needs to do for this is sign the dotted line. And he does. He becomes general manager of the Bill and Robert Water Company, gets a beautiful penthouse where just the bathroom is twice as big as his entire previous apartment. As promised, he gets to tinker with his designs on the side and gets huge bonuses for his work. He becomes a respected member of the community and everyone admires him for his talents. And Billy Bob now controls the town's entire water market. He stops the price dumping and returns to making massive profits, now even more since the Prodigy helps increase the efficiency. With his innovations, that is. But aside from doing his business, Billy Bob also likes to read. Mainly about great men in the past and what they did to succeed. He comes across the idea of buying out as much.
There's a OTK barbecue? Yeah, dude. Can't believe I didn't fly out to Texas, dude.
Much as the production chain as possible. The chain that supplies the business, that is. So Billy Bob might be selling the water, but it's not his company that manufactures the pipes, or mines the ore to smelt the metal, or makes the parts for the purifiers. And so he goes on to acquire as many of these enterprises as possible using the same tactic, offering management positions and large salaries. By the time he's done, he can build out a water supply system from scratch just using his company resources. He now owns mines, foundries, machine building workshops, and optimizes their production for his goals. Those enterprises might suffer losses due to this, but the water company gets materials much cheaper and the gains far outpace the losses, which Billy Bob of course ends up cross-subsidizing.
Okay, this video is like...
Yeah.
Are you guys enjoying this? I think I'm gonna skip. I'm hitting this with a skip, dude.
Capitalist you mad bro?
No, I don't know if it's like... I don't know what it is. It might be because like I'm feeling kind of sick. But I want to watch like city planning.
Is brought to you by Skillshare. Visit the link in the description for 2 months off a premium subscription.